We can't possibly go through this video. I think everybody would eat us alive if we didn't at least touch on the coaching. Everybody, and welcome to Blue Jays Today, where we always have something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog.
And I'm your host, Adam Peddle. And today, guys, we're going to be bringing you our top 5 reasons why the Toronto Blue Jays did not make the postseason. But before we get into it, guys, make sure to drop a like, comment, and hit that post notification bell button and subscribe to stay up to date as we're going into the postseason now. But unfortunately, not the Toronto Blue Jays will be there. Let's talk about it.
Well, you know what? I would love to, dude. And I think the biggest reason, and I would argue that this would be like numero, probably uno on far as like, if we had a war for worst performance, this was probably it for me. And we're 100%. Talking about the bullpen, guys. This was an ongoing problem. The storyline never really went away. And it's funny because right when we started that season, that beautiful, like, fleeting month of April, we were rock solid. We were like almost one of the best in the leagues, and then everyone was like, "Nuh-uh, we're actually bad now." And they just kind of stayed bad.
To break down month by month the Toronto Blue Jays bullpen, we were third in April with a 2.52 ERA.
Phenomenal.
And then from here on, it's just garbage. 454, 447, 470. Actually, our best month after acquiring some of the new guys in August. 391, 14th in the league. But then it actually got worse. 449 and then 408. Modest ending to the year. And
and I mean, frankly, guys, that's just not good enough. When you're looking at those playoff teams that did make it in and have more wins than we do, obviously, they had consistently good bullpens pretty much the entire season.
Absolutely.
We had, one really good month and then one like serviceable month, I would argue. And then after that, it was just Garbosian, And I mean, 3.91, sure, that's serviceable, but it's like, that it's probably still got to be better than that if you want to be in postseason.
So for the Toronto Blue Jays next season, it's going to have to be a lot of guys acquiring from the outside, some development on the inside, because no matter what, you got to make that bullpen better. And you know what? If you somehow have starting pitching to start the year and you don't really need Nate Pearson, assuming you get back Ray, assuming you get some other guys, and you're not going to start Nate Pearson, well, screw it. Put Nate Pearson in the bullpen if he's going to be good, because we need it desperately.
I'm really shocked, actually, because I thought that after our trade acquisitions that we made, after getting rid of guys like Dolis, like Chatwood, like, obviously Rourke was gone by this point, but so many guys we kind of got rid of, and it felt like we were bringing in new guys, and it felt like, anyways, they were doing better.
No, you're not wrong. They were doing a bit better.
Right.
Just 4+ ERA. Yeah. Still that low. Not mid to high. It's low now, but no, we got to get that bullpen ERA at like 3.5 if we want to have like a solid, competitive, shutdown bullpen.
Yeah, I agree, dude. I also think, too, it's like somebody has got to look at what was going on in April. You know what? Maybe it was all a fluke, but when you go back to 2020, our bullpen was like, pretty decent. There were some guys that were having decent performances, and then we start the year off amazing, and then everybody, like, the wheels just come completely off. So I don't know if everyone was faking it or if something was going on.
The league figured them out, maybe, because they were a bunch of new faces in that bullpen, so maybe the league figured them out. I don't know, but that is our number one for top reasons why the Patron Blue Jays did not make the postseason. Number 2 we have, and this one's a little bit sneaky, that we don't actually talk about too much on this show.
Not too much.
And that's the defense, all right? Now, looking at the defensive numbers from the Toronto Blue Jays, they actually were just average. They were literally just average. But if you look at some more specific numbers, you can see that they're a little bit below average. If you look at fielding percentage, they were 20th in the league. Errors, they were 19th. But according to some metrics, we're somewhere around average. Apparently, this one metric called R good, which is runs that you apparently save or lose according to this. Apparently, we gain 1 run. So apparently we're around there.
We gained a run.
That's it.
That's nice.
But that's about average. So I think we're about average to below average defense.
Well, the reason that we don't often talk about the defensive statistics too much is because they're a little bit more difficult to evaluate numerically anyways than batting average or OPS or home runs or something like that. So I do think it's important that even though we have some of our fielding percentages and we're kind of below average and all of this stuff, to be looking at the eyeball test as well. And I think that there was a lot of plays that went on with the Toronto Blue Jays that maybe didn't go down as errors, but they were misplays. They were plays that we could have capitalized on, that if we were, defensively sound, maybe we would have turned to that double play. Maybe we wouldn't have had that weird out thing go on,
And here's the thing, too, is sometimes errors, like, you don't know what that error created in effect, right? Because you can have errors where it's like, I'm trying to scoop the ball, but I bobble it, but I hang on to it. But sometimes we've seen from our Toronto Blue Jays, and I'm not trying to call it too many, but I might in a bit. Bo Bichette, Gavin Biggio, where you're trying to make the play, and then you throw it, airmail it, runner goes second or third, it's like you not only do you create an error, but you also gave him 2 extra bases where instead you could have just ate it, took the error, but helped the team in the end. Bo Bichette, speaking of which, led the MLB with 24 errors,
bro.
24 errors. Gavin Biggio actually was second on our team, and he played a lot less than most guys.
He was god awful at defense, dude.
He had 9th, and he was second on the team. So
that's ridiculous.
You can really pinpoint it there, but Bo Bichette, Biggio, who's going to come back healthy next year, needs to clean it up for 2022.
And you know what? Maybe if we can specify this a little bit more then and speak on the middle infield defensively, right? Because it really felt like if I had to pinpoint it, that's kind of where most of my thing is going towards. I felt like the outfield, like there was maybe 1 or 2 botched plays, maybe some bad reads, but like for the most part, they were pretty solid.
The thing is, middle infield, that's where most of your errors are going to come from anyways.
Of course.
Outfield, they always get like sucked off by like the MLB like stat keepers, because they literally, it's like, oh well, like he tried to get there. It's like, no, that was totally fieldable. He just messed that read.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So but that's where we need to definitely improve for next year.
And when you think about it too, I hate to pinpoint specific moments, but there are specific times there where based on errors, we ended up losing games. Also bullpen as well. There were some bullpen blowups where we lost games. If we were better at both of those categories, we would be in the playoffs.
I think we would be, absolutely. And number 3 on this list is the fact that we play in the American League. Now, we originally had it as American League East, but doesn't matter, because even if we were in the West, even if we were in the Central, we would still be missing that wild card. You can make an argument being like, oh, but we would be facing a lot less competitive teams, or our record would get better. Potentially,
maybe tough to say.
But if you drop our team with our record facing the tough teams that we do, we drop them in the National League, we would make it in any single division. Even the West, then all West, we would make it.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Obviously, we got strapped with some tough teams, and kind of a cop-out on our part to be like, oh yeah, like those guys were just better than we are. But the fact of the matter was, it was that way.
They were just better than us.
And there were so many good teams in our division that were just having some great records. It was really tough to keep up. 91 wins, nothing to scoff at. And you look at those St. Louis Cardinals, like nothing to scoff at from them either. But it's like, that could have been our spot, right? That could have been our spot right there if we were in the NL. So, this is just a hats off to those other American League teams. Like, competition is good. We can only hope that next year competition maybe isn't that steep.
I hope. But I feel like nothing's going to change in the American League East. But it is what it is. So that's why I don't want to be like, oh, that's the reason. And we can be comfortable knowing that was the reason why we didn't make it. No. Because that's not how you're going to improve. You got to look internally, find out the problems like bullpen and defense, and improve on that next year. Now, that's something that we don't have to worry about at all. But the fact that we started our season playing in Dunedin, and we played in Buffalo. And those records combined, we were 22-22. That's a decent away record. Like if you're going away, you'll take it. But the guys were living out of a suitcase for an entire year, and that can affect the mindset, the mentality, everything in a ball club.
Well, it's so clear. It's so clear as day, right? Everybody can pinpoint that one moment where we did get back to the Rogers Center and the momentum shifted so blatantly. So, you know what? We all forget those months months where they weren't there, but for the players, I think it had a much bigger impact than it may have shown on the field.
Yeah.
Yes, they did go 500 at their home ballpark, but that was never really their true home. And when they did get back to Toronto, they looked far superior. They were just far more confident. Everything looked better. I do think that will be a benefit for them starting the year in Rogers Center next year.
Absolutely, especially a lot of the new players who didn't even, they signed to this team, George Springer, Marcus Semien, and they didn't even have a home yet. Now that they got a home, and well, maybe not Semien.
Yeah. We don't need to get into it.
But yeah, absolutely. I mean, even the players at the very end, when they were being interviewed after their final game, said, "I'm so proud of this team for winning 91 games when we didn't have home to begin with." And
Clearly.
they all mentioned that. So obviously that affected the players' minds if they're all thinking about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's just one of those things where we're never going to know. It's never going to specifically show up on the stat sheet like, oh, wait, like they're not there. But anybody who watched this season will remember, hey, for half of the year, they didn't even have their families around them, right? So that's got to be very difficult and very draining on the team. Gladly, that is not the case anymore.
Not anymore, baby.
Hopefully COVID is gone for good.
Good, absolutely. And guys, the last one, and I think we're kind of working on a name. You have a name for this last one. I have a name for this last one. We'll say it both. The team was missing that clutch and resilience factor. When it came time to win the game or come up in a big moment or come back from behind, they weren't there. And from your perspective, Nick, what did you see with the team this year?
Well, I think that this was the tale of two different ball games for the most part. We were either getting blown out badly or we were blowing somebody out. And it was those tight games, those close games where, you need one clutch hit. One hit will do the trick. And we weren't capitalizing, right? In one-run games, we were 15-15. And you look at a lot of the other playoff teams, and they have positive records in those one-run games.
Tampa Bay is one of them, huge.
Absolutely, right? So it's just like those are the type of games where it's one run, either you have to make one up or you got to hold the lead. And very rarely could we do either of those things. We have to be better in clutch situations when you have that runner on second base and you just got to score him. That's it to get it done. Now, granted, you do have some good runners in scoring position numbers, right?
I do have the numbers right here for the runners in scoring position. In general, we were good. We actually batted .270. That was second in the MLB. And in terms of runners in scoring position with 2 outs, because I want to be like, oh, let's get even further. What about 2 outs? No, we were really good at that too.
Okay.
We were third in the MLB as well. .259. Granted, everyone in the MLB is average drops with 2 outs because you're working a bit. Pitchers got you on the ropes, et cetera, et cetera. However, I want to go a little bit deeper to find out where can you prove this theory of the resilience, the clutch it's missing. Well, when we are ahead in games, our OPS, we're first in baseball, 835. Batting average, second in baseball, 275. Now, when it's late to close, and this is based on MLB, so I'm assuming this has got to be like 7, 8, 9, 6, 7, 8, 9 innings, and it's a close game, maybe within 3 runs. Our OPS is 11th now. It drops 713. Batting average 246. When the team is behind at any point during the game, we're 7th in OPS 742, and we're 9th in batting average 248. So you can see when the going gets tough. Tough doesn't get going. It stays tough for the Toronto Blue Jays.
It stays bloody tough,
to where we were when we're ahead.
Yeah, and I think that that's a really good statistic to look at because there were a lot of games there where it's like, oh, we get up by 4, and then everyone gets greedy, and now it's like everyone's got the best plate approach. Like we're all hitting great. Now, granted, too, it's impossible to factor in everything because I would imagine when we get up in ball games, worse pitchers start to come out. So there are variables involved here, whereas when we're down in ball games, we're facing off against better pitchers. But I do think that the storyline holds true, that when we get behind early, if we're down by like 3 runs in the second or something, oftentimes I saw everyone's brain kind of click off. And that's not something that you're going to see, again, on the stat sheet or on Baseball Savant. But you could see it in their at-bats. You could see it in the way that they were playing, that they started forcing things that weren't there. They were getting outside of their plate approach. They were swinging at stuff that I know they don't usually swing at.
Yep.
So that's something that they got to work on. And I also think, too, we're talking about resilience. We're talking about clutch factor. Part of that comes with experience, comes with age. So honorable mention for me has got to go to experience and age. We got a young bloody team.
You're right. I was literally just thinking about that. You saw that because, when those moments come up, they don't come through. I saw it with Vladdy. I saw it with Bo. I saw it even sometimes with Lourdes.
Yes.
Right in the beginning. Like, I saw it everywhere. I mean, you saw it.
I don't think I ever stopped seeing it from Catabiggio.
No, I never stopped. Never. That last week, though, he was pretty
Actually,
good.
he had like one really nice game. I'll give him that for sure.
But exactly. Youth and experience. And that's only going to drive us further. I mean, they're going to all grow up one more year next year, and we're going to be more experienced. And hopefully, with a healthy George Springer guiding along the way, we can get there.
Yeah.
Now, we did have one, the other honorable mention before, and we're not going to dwell on it too hard.
We can't possibly go through this video. I think everybody would eat us alive if we didn't at least touch on the coaching in Charlie Montoyo.
Yes.
I would say that I think that it was it wasn't perfect. Wasn't perfect. But I also think, too, it's like we won 91 games. For the most part, the team was pretty solid. There were some bullpen woes, but it's also very difficult to pitch a good bullpen or to call a good bullpen when they are Garbosian as they were.
Yeah, and the argument, I saw someone make the argument, the bullpen is bad because of Montoyo. And I don't know, how do you fit? Who started with the bad? Was it Montoyo or was it the bullpen? Well, until we get a good one, I can't explain.
And it's also, too, if that's the case, if we're going to credit the bullpen being bad to Montoyo, then we have to credit the offense being good to Montoyo, too.
Exactly.
We
Same
still had, looking at the statistics, arguably the best offense in all of baseball.
Yep.
So if the bullpen was bad because of Montoyo, then the offense has to be good because of Montoyo, too. We cannot pick one side or the other. I do think that he definitely wasn't perfect, but I saw some improvements from 2020 to 2021.
Totally.
And I mean, at the end of the day, I wouldn't consider Charlie Montoyo, as much as we like to hate on him, I don't think that he was a top 5 reason for me why we didn't make postseason.
No, I mean, in the end, look, we traded for the good starters, and our starting pitching staff jumped to 6th best in baseball.
Yeah.
We have the number 1 offense. It's just the bullpen at 16th. They were just a little bit below average. This offseason, if we go out and we acquire the legitimate bullpen guys, this guy's well-proven, this guy's well-proven, this guy's well-proven, line him up with Romano, line him up with Simber, line him up with Meza, line him up with Richards. Okay, we're deep now.
Yeah.
And then they somehow keep failing. Now we can start to question things. Maybe it's Montoyo, maybe it's the bullpen coach, maybe it's the pitching staff. I don't know. But that's where we can start to question it. We need to get the weapons first before we blame the manager.
Yep, I definitely agree with that, man. Guys, please let us know in the comments down below what you thought about our top 5 reasons why the Toronto Blue Jays did not make postseason this year, what we can do in this offseason to help fix these issues, and if you think they will be rectified coming into the 2022 MLB season with these Blue Jays. Let us know in the comments.
And guys, you can also check us out on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Radio Public, and Breaker. You can also check us out on our Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We're posting on there. Guys, Today Jays is the code for Monkey Knife Fight and Manscaped. Use the code Today Jays to get discounts and deals that you saw throughout this entire video and to help support our channel. Also, $3 a month and you could become a Patreon. It's literally a coffee and you can come onto our show, our Wine Unwine, and chat and chill with us. And shout out and thank you to all of these Patreons. Thank you for continuing to support the community. It means so much.
Thank you so much for watching.